All right, so we are very lucky today, and I am particularly lucky because I've got a good friend on here tonight. So I've got Pean Padunchwit, and she has over 30 years experience in living the seven habits, not near perfect, believing in learning as
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
And most of her professional seven habits experience has been in manufacturing, in the manufacturing industry, and now in business. Currently, she's a director of Dynatech Company Limited in Thailand, where she manages a small factory making staplers for food packaging. She does a real estate business with land investment and a natural facial spa
Mm.
that she runs as a passion in her life. But Peen, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here tonight.
Hi, thank you, Eric. And yeah, it's great to see you guys as
Yeah.
usual. Yeah,
And I say tonight, it's tonight for us. For you, it's early in the morning though. So this was an early morning
7:30.
wake up
Yep,
for you, huh?
yep, yep.
All right, good. Well, Pete, so if you could sort of maybe tell us a little bit about your position, what you're currently doing now, but also, I'm going to ask you as a follow-up, like how you got there. I know we met back in the good old days back at Hewlett Packard when you were managing and working in wafer fabs for Hewlett Packard, but um, what are you doing now, and what does that work look like?
Well, now I've become a business owner, so it's a really career change from corporate. I've been corporate all my life, pretty much. Then now I'm coming back because it's something that I promised to my father that I would be back. So I'm running his factory. Yeah, and I'm starting. It just almost looked like a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence. To have a lot of investors, and then because of the trust and all that, so I help managing the investment of the lands in Thailand.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it's interesting. Now, I just sort of, the description, I apologize. I read that off and maybe I stumbled a little bit through it. Did your dad's factory always make the staples? Was that sort of always it? Because I see, maybe it was during the pandemic, you guys were doing other things than just staples, or is that true or not true?
Is no the main one is a staplers, and
Yep.
then we also have like a little bit sunset of products is the fingertip moistener that when
Okay.
you count the money we count we're still using that, yeah,
Oh,
here.
wow.
Yeah, we're still producing that, so
Interesting. So
yeah.
Pete, I referenced a little bit, we met back in probably the
Mm.
was it mid 90s or something. And
1992,
yeah,
1992, 1993, something like that.
yeah, it
Yeah.
could be. So tell us a little bit about your career, your education, your journey.
Okay.
How'd you get to where you are today?
Well, I graduated from University of Texas at Austin. I got bachelor, a master in chemical engineering.
Yeah.
So of course, I end up in wafer fabrication in Singapore. Yeah, it's a high tech. At that time, I think I came back. I came out. There was like a recession. People, the petrochemical and chemical engineering supposed to get the best pay,
Yeah.
but most of my friends couldn't get a job, and I was like sending the resume to about 20 over companies, and I
Right.
got it in Hewlett Packard in semiconductor. So that's where I started the career,
Yeah.
and it was great. It was great in Singapore,
Yeah.
and that was a component group. When I met you, right?
Right.
I was an engineer for about 2 years. And then they see that, hey, maybe this person, they can talk to the operators, can kind of get along with people, something like that. So I was promoted to be a
Yeah.
production manager. And it was like throwing me to the deep ocean. I'm not saying deep pool, okay? It's a deep ocean
Yeah.
because the operation was underperformed. It was like people were fighting with each other. I mean, swing shift and night shift and day shift, and it's like you know, you go in and it's like a firefighting, you
Right.
go in, it's like every day I have interesting things that is not pleasant. Um, then I supposed to turn around that, you know, to be a performing fab. Then of course, you know, as a new manager, I didn't know what to do. And luckily at that time, I think you came along, right? You were a worldwide education manager.
Right.
Yeah. And you were reporting to the top man. Of
Yep.
course, all of us have to say yes, right? Whatever you say, whatever you come to
Well,
Singapore and then, yeah, but of
yeah.
course, we didn't say yes because of that, but because, you know, you give us the knowledge. Actually, it start from, you know, you give us the knowledge of the 7 habits. You
Right.
bring in that. And also the world-class manufacturing,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And you know, and I want to say, Peanut, you know, I appreciate, you know, it was such a joy working with you, somebody who, you know, was eager to learn and trying to understand and improve their operation and accepting of advice and things like that. So, like the 7 habits, you know, because this is a 7 habits class, we could talk about the
Oh,
lean
okay.
and the world-class
Yeah.
manufacturing stuff, you know, on a thing,
Okay.
but you know, that people part, like, you know, working with people and being effective.
Mhm.
You know, did you get the 7 habits from
Mhm.
me? I forgot sort of how you got the 7 habits. Do you read a book or do we do a class together or how'd that happen?
You gave a book and all my supervisors,
Yeah.
operators, even operators, because when we have a meeting, so
Mhm.
everybody kind of read the 7 habits, right?
Right.
And it makes the work becomes a lot easier.
Right.
Yeah, because each one have differences, you know. So when we have like kind of same principle, it makes the work a lot easier. And I remember because of the systems, you know, both. Unfortunately, I have to talk about lean because that is about it has a
Yeah.
the big things that you bring to Singapore.
Right.
So with of course, long story short, the non-performing fab become a performing, not performing like that is a top in class, in a world
Right.
class. And not I'm saying it's a standard, you know, and I become a believer of the 7 habits and
Right.
become a believer of the system. So now after the component wafer fab, my career actually go a lot faster because
Mhm.
of that base, you know, that in a way you kind of help us kind of ingrained in
Right.
our career life, you know,
Yep.
in our life as well. So after the component fab, I go into the transferring of technology. So I got
Mhm.
promoted pretty fast. You know, I think because of the trust that the management have.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And also I get the trust with the people a lot faster. And I have to
Mhm.
give you one of the examples. So I become engineering managers after that and become a department managers of the another big wafer fabrication of Hewlett Packard,
Right.
probably the biggest in Singapore, right? And I also got selected to go to, they call it advanced leadership program out of
Right.
like 2,000 people.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I was really honored. And I think that a lot of it is because of the principle of the, you know, highly effective peoples that
Mhm.
no matter what happened, if we have the principle, sometimes I am tempted. Like when I was going into the big fab, I was promoted to a department manager
Right.
and it was another non-performing fab. I remember that the GM says that, okay, my GM was like the top performer. If he's not number one, he shut it down. So either do or die, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I went in and I like it. I love that challenge. But the thing is, I was a new manager. So nobody was like with me. Absolutely none. All
Yeah.
the ex-manager that was with them, he
Yeah.
was popular. He was a really nice guy. He was a super guy, really. And I think he you know, everybody
Yeah.
like him. He's likable, right?
Right.
But
Right.
respect and like is a different thing. So I go in, people were just like testing, who is this person?
Right.
The top guy bring her in, and everybody have a kind of, I want to challenge how good this is,
Yeah.
And I went in, there was like a 3 hours, 3 hours meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
That people come in and give presentations. Engineers, that was like 40 engineers, 7 managers, and like 30 supervisors. So about 10 people give a presentation. I didn't understand, I couldn't get it at the end of the day, what are we going to get? What is the benefit of the whole organization? So I have to look at the whole organization before it's me, right? And I was thinking to myself, remember that, would I do the right thing? Have the end in mind. What is the right thing here?
Yeah.
And people were just, try to give the best knowledge that they have and all that kind of stuff. But at the end, it's not solving the problem.
Right. Right.
So the 10 people, I remember there was only one that passed. So I said, am I going to be easier on them so they can accept, I can build the rapport?
Yeah.
Or do what's right?
Right.
Then because of the things that I live, from that book, or I practice, and
Right.
I do what's right.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
course,
No. Yeah. And I think, that sort of end in mind, and, acting on your values, all the time.
Mm.
And I think, when managers see, and I think one of the magical things that you sort of brought to those sort of organizations, besides from the sort of technical expertise and knowing how to turn around fabs, is knowing how to work with people and build their trust, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
you always are,
yes,
value centric in the things that you do,
yes,
right?
yes. And really build from the value, not from the likability.
Right.
Because if built from that, I probably go to, the negative side. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, though, I mean, yeah, I become a very unpopular for a little while, quite a long little while, like about 3 months or so.
Yeah.
But then we start solving problems. They start seeing the real results, that the meeting, not 3 hours, 1 hour, good enough. No concentrate, nobody have enough concentrations to go for that long.
Oh yeah.
So we reduced the meeting to about 1 hour.
Yeah.
And 10 people is fine, but 1 hour. And then at the end of the day, they got to see that what is the objective? What are they solving? And some of them says, well, Pean, you don't, they insult me in front of everybody, in the meeting, like 30 engineers. They said, Pean, you don't know fab. Or we live with a problem for like about, normally problem in the fab is normal. And I goes, okay, meet me behind the scene, meet me at my desk. It's okay. You say that the problem cannot be solved. Fine. And then they said, well, they're going to design a new, boat and a new container carriers to clean wafer fab. And I said, well, before there was no problem. And then why were you going to design a new thing? And they said, oh, because we're going to solve this problem. And I said, well, go back to what it was, right?
Yeah.
So, and remember the 7 habits that you how do you say it? Like live on your own. You don't kind of involve other people's to.
Oh yeah. So you're going from dependence to independence to interdependence, right?
There you go. Correct. So they try to solve the problem within themselves, within their, work center. So I call, so I just make a call from the facilities, from everybody to come in. And then finally we solve, it wasn't the work center, it was facilities. So now they start working, further. Yeah, and that's how we solve the problem. So it's really not just the, focus on the work center, it's an interdependent. Yeah. So that's really come from 7 habits, really.
Yeah. Well, Pean, I want to encourage the students to get in here and throw you a question or two if they can. So you can type a question in chat, and will flag me on that, and we'll pull you in here to the spotlight area if we can. So Peanut, like, do you have of the 7 habits, like how are you applying, we talked a lot about the wafer fab experience, and I know you went on to other wafer fabs in Australia and whatnot and applied some of
Yeah.
these same things. And so it's
Yep.
a good success story. But how are you applying 7 habits in your current job? I know we talked a little bit
Oh,
about, integrity and trust in,
yeah.
some of your business dealings and real estate and things like that. So how are you using 7 habits now?
Good questions. I think once the good thing is that when you use the 7 habits and it's become a very, successful in the tough job, like wafer fab and all the careers that we go through,
Right.
it gives me the confidence that, yeah, this is the right way to do it. So no matter what, like temptations or like integrity issues, like especially in business, right? A lot of people, sometimes people don't say the truth. That's
Mm,
unfortunately, yeah, it's like they start scheming from the
yeah.
beginning, especially in the land development. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But at the end of the day, if you kind of get the objective right, you set up the system, it's a learning. Like for me, errors not normal, like when you start on in this career.
Right. Right. You're gonna
Yeah,
make some
yeah,
mistakes, and yet
yeah, they're making
it's gotta,
mistakes.
first
You gotta learn.
you gotta learn, you gotta ask for a little
Yeah,
bit of grace and forgiveness, right? Before you,
right, 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 right.
perform, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it will work too, but I think maybe you can ask me in about a couple of years. I think after we sell it first, now it's invest, but it was good investment. Even though we make a bit of mistakes, but we are able to kind of get back because of at the end of the day, people trust and likes the integrity. The investors, especially, still with us, but some of the middlemen, that's my issues. But we have a pretty good portfolio from we grow from it's like almost nothing, right, to about 30 million
Okay.
of the yeah in 2 years.
Wow.
So that was I think it's because of the trust. But now we are selling it, so I haven't seen the profit. The profit is still in the paper.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. Yeah. So, any questions for Peen about her? And I know that a lot of you students, and from talking to students at Cal Poly, everybody says, "Well, how do I get a job where I travel overseas and things?" And um, Peen's in that sort of nexus of the
Yeah.
Southeast Asian economy and trying to make things work and whatnot. So, any questions for Peen? 7 habits or otherwise? That's another question.
Hello.
Yeah, hey Victor. Hey, Will, can you drop Victor on the spotlight to put him in here with you can hang out with the big shots for a little bit?
Sure.
Hey Victor,
There
good
we
to see
go.
you.
Yeah.
All right. What's your question?
I was just curious. I know you've talked about how the 7 habits have affected you in like your professional life. What about your personal life? Did it play a big role in how you know, day to day in your personal life?
Whoa, great questions. Yes, of course, it's work in every aspect of your life, right? Remember my when Eric was teaching us, actually, I introduced that book to us, and I was talking to my kids, my daughter, and then she came back and she said, "Oh, mommy, today, my friend was fighting, and I talked to them, so they're supposed to be a win-win." And guess what? Without knowing, today she's a manager and she was a pretty good manager because of the things that sometimes we don't realize, but what they see, and she's advanced in her career quite well. I'm pretty proud of her. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that
Thank you
question.
so much. That was great.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I love those little things where, especially working with small children, it's a combination of, teaching them specifically, right? So here's like win-win, but then also they watch you and they're,
Mhm.
you got to model
Right.
the leadership traits or the characteristics or the values that you want your kids to have, right? Yeah, it's a great framework. Yeah, Mylene, you wanna jump on and ask a question?
Yes, please. Hi, my name is Mylene. I'm a psychology. I'm on my senior student of psychology, but I like this class. That's why I took this class, even though it's not part of my
Wow.
my psychology. Yeah. You have mentioned that you have worked in an engineering department, right? How does it affect you being a woman? Being a woman working in a working in a place where it dominated by men, considering that you're a woman and then you're a woman of color at the same time.
That's quite cute, Mylene. That's direct. Very good question. I went to Australia. My last corporate job was in Peregrine Semiconductor in Australia, Sydney. And my boss was saying, he called me. I just went in, right? I was new at that time. Pean, I'm sorry, but the fact of life here is that firstly, people will naturally respect male, white male, and then black, colored, foreigner male, and then white female, and then the last is the
There's a
foreigner.
hierarchy.
Yeah. My boss was
There's
telling
a
me.
hierarchy going on.
Is it the fact of life? In Australia, I said, okay, thank you for telling me, but I was just sticking to my principle,
Mhm,
and I thought it was funny.
mhm.
At the end of the day, the result speaks, right? It doesn't matter who you are in a way. Yeah, but fact of life, natural or culture,
Mhm.
you can't fight with the culture. But I think as an individual or it's a workplace that you can influence in the way that you believe. So in a way, it's from inner to outer. In the seven habit, but how do you explain that, Eric? You explain better
Well,
than me.
it's so first you're winning the private victory, right? The victory within self,
Mm.
and then you can win the victory, publicly, with
Yeah.
other things, right? So, yeah.
So among all the 7 habits, which one is your favorite
Uh,
that really helps you or give you that gives really a huge impact on your career? I know all the 7 habits are important, but I'm
I think
But
keep
everybody's
learning.
got a
also,
favorite, right,
Keep
Mylene?
learning.
there's also a favorite one.
Yeah, sharpen the saw, keep learning, because we've never finished, education in a way, in life. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning a lot as a entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's new to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning to marketing and sales, which is not my niche. But people tell me that, to be a good salespeople, either you born or naturally have it, right? Say that to me. That's an important customers also. So they want to see, we are make it. But the response that I have, I didn't even think about it. I said, yes, I naturally don't have the sales and marketing, kind of talents. But if I learn, I will survive. I think I can be, I won't be this great, but I will be good enough that can do the job. So answering like that, and I can see like the respect in their eyes. Okay, she's not kind of back down in whatever we're dealing together.
Yeah. Good.
Mm.
Right,
So
Mylene,
go for
thank
it
you so much.
and let's
Yeah.
start living. You will see the greatness and the results, bit by bit in everything. I'm starting new, so I'm learning everything again.
All right,
Thank you.
Mylene, thank you so much for that question. I appreciate it. I think in being like an older white male, I don't have the experience of that you sort of discussed. But I think the common experience between us is, we try to be, maybe more value forward, right? It's not about the color of my skin or how I look or whatever, but it's the values that I carry inside that I try to represent. And
Right.
that's an extra tool that you sort of bring, right?
Yeah.
to the table. So that's a really nice thing. Pean, this has been really good. I'm gonna wrap up the interview at this point because shorter interviews are better. I've sort of found that over the years. But if you could give one piece of advice to the 30-some students that are watching you now at this point, just sort of starting out in their career and their learning paths, what piece of advice would you give them?
I remember the things in the book the most, that jump out on me now is that you think about the country Korea. That's in the 7th habit, right? That if you think about like 15, 20 years ago, they were like behind a lot of Asian country,
Mhm.
But
Right.
because they put the 7 habits in the curriculum,
Mhm.
in the school and in the university for people
Oh.
to study, look
Yeah.
at that country now. Unbelievable. It's like they are way far ahead of all of us. I mean, in Asia, of course,
Oh,
not
wow.
to the US, but that got to be something good about it. And that was in the book. So that was like a jump out on me. So I think that your students, whoever, decide, like Marlene, who's decided, oh, it's not in her, what to call it, curriculum, but she's choose this class anyways. So
Yeah.
I think that people that choose this class, no matter what, they're gonna get something. And once they live it, if they learn and don't do, it means don't learn, right? So
Right.
if they pass your exam, they gotta learn something. Yeah. And if they do it, I'm sure they will be very successful in their career.
All right. Pean, well, thank you so much for being here tonight for us, this morning for you. I'm going to ask just to sort of end our interview to switch us back, Will, into gallery mode. And if everybody could switch on their videos and give Pean a nice wave, thank you. So she
Thank
can kind
you.
of see all your
Thank you.
smiling
Thank you,
faces.
Miss
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. I'm going to.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're
Bye.
trying. All right, now video's on now. We had trouble a little stuck with the thing. There we go. Turn on your videos. Wave hi, wave thank you to Pean. Pean, thank you so much.